The King's Grave is the intentionally vague name given to a remarkable archaeological site in Scania, Sweden. It is one of the largest Nordic Bronze Age burial sites ever found in Scandinavia, and because of this, there is a high probability that it was created for a king, but we have no way of knowing for sure. What we do know is that the tomb was created for a dual burial and is approximately 3,400 years old. The burial site is circular, with a diameter of 76 meters, and differs in style from most other significant European Bronze Age burials. This stands out in part because the cists at the site are covered in mysterious petroglyphs. The images carved into their surface include birds, fish, animals, people, boats, and a chariot pulled by 2 horses. The first formal archaeological excavation of the King's Grave was carried out by Gustav Hallström in 1931 and lasted for 2 years. During this time, the remains of an entire Stone Age settlement were identified beneath the enormous stone mound. Unfortunately, Hallström's excavation also confirmed that the tomb had been looted in the distant past. It might have been possible to identify who was buried there, but that knowledge is likely lost forever. It is not our intention to spend so much time in the British Isles, but there have been so many fascinating treasure discoveries there in recent years that we cannot help it. A collection of 37 Roman silver coins discovered near York has been declared treasure in an inquest. Known as the Overton Hoard, the coins were found in September 2016 on land near Overton, Yorkshire, along with pottery fragments. Some of the coins date back to 69 AD during the reign of the Roman Emperor Vespasian, who oversaw the construction of the Colosseum in Rome. The hoard is believed to have been buried about 1,800 years ago when York was the center of the imperial court and is connected to Emperor Septimius Severus and his family, who spent several years in York. The Yorkshire Museum has expressed interest in acquiring the hoard, which was subsequently valued by the British Museum's Treasure Valuation Committee. The declaration of treasure means the coins will be offered to a museum for acquisition at a price set by this committee. We would like to be able to tell you why the coins were buried, but that is something that will likely never be known. You may have heard of the Bayeux Tapestry, but you are less likely to have heard of the Sampool Tapestry. It is an ancient wall hanging made of wool, and in 1984 was discovered in the ancient settlement of Sampool in the Tarim Basin in Lop County in China. When it was found, it had been fashioned into a pair of men's trousers, which was not its initial design. Historians find it very strange that it was cut up in this way for such a basic purpose. The tapestry is fascinating because of the many Hellenistic-era features on it, including a diadem and a Greek centaur, indicating the piece may have originally come from the Greco-Bactrian kingdom. However, the human figure in the tapestry may be a depiction of a 1st-century Yuezhi soldier, in which case the tapestry would contain elements from both ancient Greece and ancient China, making it a very challenging artifact to understand. The identification of the figure as Chinese is controversial, as he has blue eyes and Caucasian features. It is only his style of dress that appears to be non-European. Suggested dates for the tapestry range from the 3rd century BC to the 4th century AD. The Quimbaya artifacts from Colombia are beautiful decorative artifacts and excellent examples of ancient craftsmanship. But is there more to them than that? The objects, which range in age between 2,300 and 3,000 years old, are sometimes also called Tolima artifacts and have only been found in the region around Bogotá, the country's capital. More than 100 of them have been discovered so far. Although many archaeologists consider them to be nothing more than impressive examples of zoomorphic figurines, not all of them appear to be based on living creatures. Some can be easily identified as bats, birds, fish, or insects, but others do not resemble any other known creature. It is these anomalous artifacts that pose a problem, as instead of being based on animals, they appear to have fuselages, wings, stabilizers, and other distinct features you would find on a modern aircraft. They also possess perfect aerodynamic properties, meaning that if you scaled one of them up and launched it, it would be able to fly and glide. How could such knowledge have been available to people who lived so long ago? Four-goat square zun might sound like a random grouping of words we put together, but it is in fact an ancient Chinese bronze ritual vessel. Specifically, it is a zun vessel, which is a ritual wine container. Historians in China believe the artifact is more than 3,000 years old, making it a relic from the late Shang dynasty era. As the artifact's name strongly suggests, the vessel is surrounded by 4 curly-horned goats, which makes it entirely unique in the archaeological record. You will find it on display today in the National Museum of China, but it was first discovered in Huangkai Town, Hunan Province, in April 1938, by a pair of brothers digging for sweet potatoes on a mountainside. This is the largest square-form Zun vessel ever discovered, and also features a relief of 4 intertwined dragons to accompany its 4 goats. The 4-goat square Zun went missing after being hidden to keep it safe during the Second World War, but was finally relocated in 1952. It was sent to the National Museum of Chinese History 7 years later, but was transferred to the National Museum of China later that same year. Let's remain in the United Kingdom for one more exciting archaeological discovery, as another Roman hoard has been unearthed on the lands of the Euston Estate in Suffolk, England. The hoard, discovered by Martin White during a metal detecting rally, consists of a collection of pewter dishes, platters, bowls, and a beaker dating back approximately 2,000 years to the Roman period. The items were found carefully stacked in a pit, possibly deposited as an offering or for safekeeping. The larger dishes and platters were likely used for communal food serving, while the octagonal bowls may have had a Christian reference. Similar hoards have been found in other parts of southern Britain, including nearby Roman settlements in Icklingham and Hockwald. Although the hoard does not meet the criteria to be considered treasure under the Treasure Act of 1996, it was generously donated by the 12th Duke of Grafton, Henry Oliver Charles Fitzroy, to the West Stow Anglo-Saxon Village and Museum. Visitors were able to admire this discovery in a special exhibition, enhancing their understanding of the Roman period in West Suffolk. We are not yet sure where the hoard will go after that. In 2025, a team of archaeologists made a discovery that left the academic world breathless. In the sands of Egypt, inside an ancient cave sealed by rocks for millennia, they found a carved wall. The wall, made of a mixture of limestone and bronze, depicts something that seemed impossible for the estimated time of its creation: a detailed celestial system with spheres, interconnecting lines, and symbols resembling planetary orbits. In the center, a larger golden circle similar to a sun radiates beams in all directions, as if connecting different worlds. What is most intriguing is that, at the base of the mural, human figures in ancient robes point to the sky, while others seem to be building something similar to pyramids. The surrounding inscriptions have been partially deciphered, revealing words in a language never before recorded. One of the provisional translations speaks of those who came from the light of the circle, which has raised bold theories about contact between ancient civilizations and travelers from other worlds. Scientists still cannot date the artifact with precision. Carbon analysis revealed that the inner layer is more than 12,000 years old, which predates any known record of writing. Some call the discovery a coincidence, others evidence. And what do you have to say about this fascinating discovery? Tell us in the comments. The Sigtuna box gets its name from the fact that it was found in Sigtuna, Sweden in August 1911. It is a copper box, notable for a runic inscription that was carved onto its surface during the early 11th century. The box is physical evidence of a trade network that stretched across the Baltic Sea at that time. But historians are most fascinated by the engraving, which takes the form of a poem. More specifically, it is an Old Norse poem written in a specific meter that was used when skaldic poets wrote praises to their rulers. In it, a cuckoo chases a thief and then eats him. It is a bizarre image, but it may have had a symbolic meaning at the time, which has subsequently been lost to the passage of time. The box likely belonged to a merchant, who would have used it to carry scales so they could weigh gold and silver no matter where they were. A second graffiti-like inscription on the box translates as, "Vermunder colored these runes," but it is not known if Vermunder was the original owner of the box. The West Yorkshire hoard, discovered near Leeds, England, in 2009 by a metal detectorist, is a significant find, comprising 6 gold objects, including 4 gold rings and 1 lead spindle whorl. This discovery holds national and international importance, as it expands our understanding of hoarding practices in early medieval England, and adds to the body of known gold rings from this period. The hoard consists of several intriguing items, such as a lozenge-shaped ring set with a cabochon garnet, a ring with a magnified bezel, a ring with a round bezel believed to have held a relic, and another ring with honey-yellow panels. Additionally, there is a fragment of gold cloisonné jewelry, a piece of gold ingot, and a lead disc. The items in the hoard date from the 7th to 10th centuries, suggesting they were preserved for several centuries. Interpretations of the hoard's purpose range from a thief's loot to belonging to a blacksmith or jeweler, indicating wealth and high-status ownership. The West Yorkshire hoard is now publicly owned and on display at the Leeds City Museum, allowing visitors to explore the remarkable artifacts and delve into this captivating aspect of history. Moving now to Italy, we find the tombs of the reliefs of Cerveteri. This is an Etruscan-era tomb, created 2,400 years ago, but discovered in 1847. The tomb is unique because almost all Etruscan-era tombs discovered to date are covered in frescoes. This one instead is decorated with stucco reliefs. Our understanding of the written Etruscan language is imperfect, but it has been possible to translate enough of the inscription inside the tomb to identify it as the private family tomb of the Matuna family. It contains no fewer than 32 spaces on its lowest level, above which 12 more oblong niches were carved into the wall at some later point to allow for the addition of more bodies. Either the Matuna family was very large, or they continued to use the tomb for several generations. The presence of a liduus, horns, and an ivory folding chair inside the tomb suggests they were a family of magistrates, but the presence of shields, armor, and weaponry implies they could also have been warriors. Given that they lived 2,400 years ago, there is no reason they could not have been both. Here is a treasure discovery that sounds like a scene straight out of an adventure novel. An amateur archaeologist unearthing a clay pot filled with 1,290 Roman coins dating from the 4th century AD in Switzerland. The treasure hunter, Daniel Luden, was exploring near the 13th century Wildenstein Castle when his metal detector started beeping. Upon digging, he found several Roman coins and pottery shards. Realizing the importance of his discovery, he carefully reburied the treasure and alerted the authorities. Archaeologists were able to excavate the pot in a large block of earth and then perform a CT scan of its contents without disturbing it. The scan revealed an unexpected detail, a piece of cowhide dividing the coins into two separate stacks. The coins, made of a copper alloy with a small percentage of silver, were minted during the reign of Emperor Constantine. The discovery raises intriguing questions. Why was the hoard buried during a period of political stability? And what was the purpose of the cowhide divider? Could it have been an offering to the gods, or perhaps related to the boundary of 3 Roman estates? The mysteries of this coin pot continue to intrigue researchers, offering a tantalizing glimpse into the economic practices of the Roman Empire. In October 1975, a team of workers found a brick-walled burial chamber inside the Barfüßer Church in Basel, Switzerland during a renovation project. Inside the grave, they found a pair of well-preserved coffins, and inside the coffins, 2 sets of human remains. One set was just a skeleton, but the other was the mummified corpse of a woman who came to be known as the Lady of the Barfüßer Church. Later research identified her as Anna Katharina Bischoff, who was born in Strasbourg, France in March 1719 and died in Basel in August 1787. She likely owes the location of her burial, which would normally be reserved for people of high social status, to the fact that she was the wife of Pastor Lucas Gernler, who served in the church for many years. In 2015, another series of scientific tests revealed something much more surprising. Anna was found to be a very distant relative of Boris Johnson, the former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. We wonder what this pastor's wife would make of Boris Johnson if she were alive to see him. In May 2022, friends and metal detectorists Dave Allen, Mick Ray, and Robert Abbott set out for a weekend camping and metal detecting trip at a location in Wiltshire, England. To their surprise, they discovered a hoard of 161 ancient Roman coins directly under their campsite. The coins appeared just 6 paces from where they had set up their tents in a field not far from the ancient village of Pusey. The exact value of the coins has never been publicly disclosed, but it is safe to assume the valuation will be in the tens of thousands of dollars. A significant proportion of the value comes from a single Roman siliqua coin, which is about 1,600 years old and extremely rare. There are other siliqua coins in the hoard, along with Migliorense coins, all minted between 340 and 402. The coins are in almost new condition. Many of them are in better shape than the coins you probably carry in your wallet or purse. It is highly likely that the newly minted coins were deliberately buried during the final years of the Roman Empire's presence in England by citizens seeking to protect their wealth from Saxon raiding groups. The Stolhof hoard was ironically discovered in Hohe Wand in Lower Austria. We say ironically because despite this part of the world being known as Lower Austria, the treasure was discovered at an altitude of about 762 meters in the mountains above the village of Stolhof in 1864. It is one of the most significant Copper Age discoveries in Austrian history and includes the oldest gold artifacts ever found in the country. Tests have revealed that the objects making up the hoard are approximately 6,000 years old. The hoard is composed of 9 spiral rolls, 6 double spiral pendants, a pair of flat axes, a pair of spiral armbands, 2 gold discs, and a single piece of decorative sheet metal shaped like a bear's tooth. The gold discs are the most fascinating items in the collection, as both are decorated with embossed ornamentation and appear to have been designed to be attached to clothing by a thread that could be passed through the holes in their centers. Similarities have been noted between the objects in the Stolhof hoard and objects found in Poland, but no connection has been proven yet. Much is known about Stonehenge, the famous English stone circle, but it is still a place of great mysteries. One of them is the question of just over 40 of the site's smaller stones, known as blue stones. They did not come from anywhere in the surrounding area. Instead, they were quarried from the Preseli Hills in Pembrokeshire, Wales. This is almost 320 kilometers away, and it raises the question of how anyone could have transported them so far 5,000 years ago. In 2019, a new study pinpointed the exact location in the hills from which the stones were taken. Academics determined that the rocks were removed using wedges to open the vertical fissures between each natural rock pillar at the sites. Man-made stone and wooden platforms were found in the valley below the Carn Godog site in the Preseli Hills. They were presumably made and used by the architects of Stonehenge. This may finally explain precisely where the stones came from and how they were separated from their native hillsides, but it does not explain why or how they were transported such an enormous distance. We are finally leaving the United Kingdom for our next treasure story. The Valchitran treasure was found by a pair of brothers working in their vineyard near the Bulgarian village of Valchitran on December 28, 1924. It is the best late Christmas present the brothers ever received. Historians in Bulgaria believe the treasure to be the finest early Thracian treasure ever discovered in their country and have dated it to around 1300 BC. Considering that the items making up the hoard are 3,300 years old, they are in fantastic condition. Each of the items in the collection is a vessel of some kind. There is a pair of round platters, 5 domed vessels with central handles, 3 cups, 1 jug, a trio of leaf-shaped vessels, and 1 solid gold bowl with 2 handles. Although all the artifacts are made of gold, all but the bowl have a 9.7% mixture of silver. This strongly suggests they were made at the same time, most likely by the same person. The entire collection now resides in the National Archaeological Museum in Sofia, where it is considered one of the museum's most valuable assets. The tomb of Menecrates, also known as the Monument of Menecrates, is a cenotaph in Corfu, Greece, that dates back to the Archaic period about 2,600 years ago. It was found by chance when the British Army demolished a Venetian-era fortress in 1843, which uncovered the cenotaph underneath. The sculpture of a lion that accompanies the monument is one of the oldest funerary lions ever discovered in Greece. This area was once part of the necropolis of Corcyra, and it is likely that the tomb of Menecrates was the largest and most impressive tomb in the entire necropolis. The name Menecrates comes from an ancient Greek inscription found inside the tomb, which identifies it as a structure built to honor Menecrates, an ambassador from Corcyra to Oanthia who was lost at sea. The tomb was built with the help of his brother Praxemenes, who came from Oanthea specifically to assist the people of Corcyra in the monument's construction. The tomb is made of local limestone, which is soft, so it is remarkable that it has survived for so long in such good condition. It now receives regular maintenance from the Greek Central Archaeological Council. The Penrith hoard is so named because it was found scattered across several fields in Penrith, Cumbria, England, over more than 200 years. The amount of time that passed between the discovery of the hoard's first artifact and the discovery of its most recent makes it one of the most unusual treasure finds in British history. The hoard is composed of a set of silver penannular brooches manufactured during the 10th century. The first item, a large thistle brooch, was discovered in 1785. A second brooch, almost identical to the first, was found nearby in 1830. The majority of the hoard's items were found by two teams of archaeologists working very close to each other with metal detectors in 1989. Historians think the large brooches were originally deposited deliberately close to each other in the year 930. But they are less certain that the rest of the items were abandoned on purpose or buried at the same time. The pieces have a style that first became popular during the Romano-British era, but the style was adopted by the Vikings, and these brooches are, in fact, almost certainly of Viking origin. Much of what we know about the gods, rituals, beliefs, and culture of the ancient South American tribes is due to the discovery of the Codex Borgia. This is, without a doubt, the most important pictorial manuscript ever found on the continent. But it is not on display inside a museum. Instead, it is kept in the Vatican archives in Italy. The manuscript is pre-Columbian, dating from the 16th century, and is named after Stefano Borgia, who was an 18th century Italian cardinal. The cardinal did not discover the codex, however. He just owned it before it was acquired by the Vatican Library upon the cardinal's death in 1804. Rather than being a single cohesive document, the Codex Borgia is a collection of manuscripts covering topics such as divination, rituals, iconography, and even calendars. It is one of the few codices that were not deliberately destroyed by the Spanish conquistadors during their 16th century conquest. The authorship of the manuscript is unknown. It may have been created by the Tlaxcalteca people, but it could just as easily have been produced by the Mixtecs or the Cholulteca. Unfortunately, we will never know. And so we conclude our list of breathtaking archaeological discoveries. If you enjoyed it, leave a like, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next revelations from forgotten history, and tell us in the comments which discovery surprised you the most.